Okay, so formally you all are welcome in first lecture of module number 2. So under the head of module number 1, initially we primarily consider the first, we try to define the measurement, instrumentation, its a classification, types of mechanical, electromechanical measurement rather you can say. So first we consider the electromechanical type of indicating instruments, measuring instruments in other words. And under the head of measuring instruments, we start briefly consider the D-Arsenal meters, which is ultimately the base or foundation of all the analog measuring instruments as far as the electrical variables are concerned, voltage, current, power, and so on. So under that banner, we see the PMMC device. We discuss the moving iron type, and we discuss the electrodynamometer. Though I have been discussed at that point of time that the electrodynamometer and the its uses as far as the power measurement in the single phase circuit or three phase circuits are concerned, and the energy meter. These things we will discuss in detail under the head of lecture number 2, module number 2. So here we are going to discuss all these aspects. Okay. So it's live class, as you know that if you have any doubt in the middle, you can interrupt me, okay, and you can discuss. Did some modification as far as your text and reference books are concerned. I realized that you don't require too many books. Two books I have been highlighted in blue is actually more than sufficient as per your syllabus. One is Helfrich Cooper, Modern Electronic Instrumentation and Measurement, and the other one is you can say this P. Purkett et al. Purkett Biswas Das Kule. This is Electrical and Electronics Measurement and Measuring Instruments by McGraw Hill. Though the Golding and Wedis is also very standard book and preferred worldwide. If you wish, you can refer that book also, Electrical Measurement and Measuring Instruments. And then other than that, you can say uh, Davis Bell, one of my favorite electronic instrumentation and measurements. If you wish, you can refer that particular book as well to you. So it's up to you that which book you want to refer. Maybe one or two book is more than sufficient. So let's proceed for our today's discussion. As far as these module number 2 is concerned, uh, as a supplementary content, I've been referred NPTEL site. The, you can have a one or two specialist lecture series under the head of NPTEL. I advise you all that you should watch this program because ultimately it's a free of cost available, and country is one of some best academicians. They produce these kind of platform, particularly NPTEL. I'm not talking about SWAYAM is also another platform, or some other MOOC platforms should be available, are also available. But NPTEL particularly I will recommend you as far as the quality of content is concerned. And other than that, some portions of this particular content module number 2 is I also take the reference of the lecture content available from Michigan State University. So without much wasting our time, let us this that will be the ultimately agenda of the entire module number 2. That is the next coming 4 lectures. We are going to discuss watt meter, energy meter primarily, and I'll just brief the galvanometers because to my view, if you look at the sequence of content, galvanometer, even if we are keeping it is something is now history, is the base of the work, foundation of the these kind of analog measuring instrument should be keep already at the beginning as an introductory part at the beginning of the module number 1, otherwise it's not needed. Okay, but though it is there, now you know that you all are in the digital world. Okay, so primarily don't require much. So as far as your power measurement is concerned, So the instrument which you are going to use to measure the power is wattmeter, you know, and ultimately it is a deflecting type of instruments, right? So primarily the concept or the method we use to design these kind of deflecting type of instruments are again the electrodynamometers only, or electrodynamics type of instrument. And when you talk about the electrodynamometer, you know, when we discussed last time the architecture of electrodynamometer, I will come up over that slide little later. Uh, you had a fixed coil and you have a moving coil, right? So what concept we are going to use inspired, we will little modify that particular electrodynamometer to suit it as a wattmeter. Is that now we will have two coils, okay? Not the two separately fixed coil. We will have two coils. So the fixed coil, current coil will be a fixed coil, noted down. And as shown in this particular simplified circuit diagram, don't go over the number of loops or the things, okay? So what current coil is that it has a lesser number of turns, remember, okay? So for example, 2 or 3. So it has a lesser number of turns or the winding you can say, and the conductor which is used to prepare these turns or winding are a bit of thicker in size, okay, is a thick wire, fine. So if it is a thick wire, so what will happen, that conductors coils area of cross section will be larger. So R is equal to rho into L by A, ठीक है ना? So A is a denominator, remember, so it reduces the resistance, clear, and hence it has a very low resistance, clear. And number of turns is less, so obviously length is less, so numerator is less, rho is a constant, so therefore resistance is less, yeah. And current coil obviously is connected in series to the circuit, with the circuit which carries the load current. We will come little later. And what you will do on the voltage coil is also known as the pressure coil or sometimes the potential coil, which is connected across the load of the circuit, and therefore theoretically it will have a same amount of current proportional to the load current, theoretically, okay. Or in other words, I would say that it will have a equal amount of voltage as respect to the with respect to the load, or in other words you can say that load voltage, okay. And that is a variable type of coil, remember it's a moving coil, okay. So potential coil is a moving coil and the current coil is a fixed coil, okay. Depending on the shunt resistances across the current coil is decided that how much current is going to be penetrated through the voltage coil. So remember, accordingly your voltage is changing, which is proportional to the load voltage. We will see it little later, okay. So obviously in the pressure coil, remember number of turns are much more than that of the current coil, and the area of cross section of the conductor which is used to construct the potential coil or the pressure coil is very less. In other words, is a thin wire you use. Thin wire, number of turns more. In current coil, thick wire, number of turns are less. So in current coil, what will happen, resistances will be less. In potential coil, resistances will be very high, clear. So if you talk about type of measurement, so obviously it is separated with respect to DC and AC circuits, okay. So to need to measure the power, ultimately what we need a voltage and current. So we will use a voltmeter and a ammeter configuration, okay, to get the instantaneous value of the current and voltage at the same time. Now in the DC circuit, theoretically that should be a constant, and in the AC circuit, obviously the instantaneous value is nothing but it's a RMS value. Yeah. So the two different kind of measurements could have been used. Now these two different kind of arrangement or measurement we will discuss in the coming slides. Now what are the possible method to design these kind of wattmeters, measure the power? Obviously the fundamental one is the electrodynamometer or electrodynamics meter. digital watt meters that may not be directly mentioned in your syllabus, but in today's scenario, whatever you see is mostly is the digital watt meter. In other words, we also call the electronic meters. What is connected at your home, that is nothing but it is an energy meter. Remember, don't be confused. That is not a watt meter. That's a energy meter. Clear? Okay. So other than that, some other options could be like a thermal watt meter, maybe using temperature resistance. Maybe you can use thermocouples so that you can measure the power at wave of a signal uh, having a very high frequency. It consists of is operating at extremely high frequency, maybe in the range of hundreds of kilohertz or even the tens of megahertz also, or the hundreds of megahertz. So these things we have seen when we talk about the different kind of voltage and uh, current measurement schemes in the previous module. So those schemes you can use. That is, again, we are not going to discuss much here. And one is the Hall power meter. That means the power meter, or in other words, watt meter, uh, which is operating based on the Hall effect. Okay, or you are measuring using the Hall effect sensors. So that is a very new technology, and in the next last 5 to 6 years, wherever you see, particularly across the high voltage line, this scheme is extremely popular. Okay, rather than electrostatic scheme. Okay, that's the basically concept. Is that okay? So we use the Hall voltage. I mean, not voltage. Primarily, is that Hall effect sensors, or in other words, for the particular power measurement, it can be Hall effect can be used for various purposes. For power measurement, it is primarily known as Hall power meter. Yeah, these things we will discuss in this series of module. Then we will jump to the energy meter, and slightly we will discuss again the concept of the galvanometer, because is mentioned in this. So those things we will see in the coming slides. Okay, that is something the digital watt meter you can see. Okay, whenever you will visit in your electrical labs next time, you might have seen these things, and you can revisit and you can see those things again. So these are the digital watt meters. It can be used to measure up to hundreds of kilohertz. That is the advantage. What are the other advantage? High resolutions, accuracy is very high. That's why we have jumped from the analog meter to digital meters. uh, See, don't be confused. Analog signal is 100% accurate. Digital signal has always some error. Okay, because you have reconstructed it and there are certain restrictions. If you have more interest, then you just Google about the sampling effect, sampling and quantization. So you will get to understand that what is the limitation of quantization and why the digital signal is always have some error. Okay, whereas analog signal is 100%. But the media or mechanism you are going to use to measure the analog signal cannot be accurate. And one of the things is that because of the lot of electromechanical components we are using, mechanical components have their own limitations, because moving part have their own inertia, have their own momentum. They cannot be as accurate as fast as the electrical signal is. That is one. Number two, the human eye always has a certain restrictions. It cannot detect the very high speed movements. So therefore, whenever you are going to check or measure something based on an analog device, it always generates some error. Just consider your analog watch and a digital watch. You will get the difference. Okay. Then there are the certain differences is that you may experience a problem of storing the data and processing the data. Now, here the challenges are very high if you talk about the analog signal. On the other hand, processing is very easy, and most importantly, the storage of that data is always done in digital form. Okay, so that is something you can store with the least amount of memory. Okay, so that is the thing what we use as far as, and that's why if you talk about digital wattmeter A to D conversion, that means ADC, in other words A to D converter device, and the DSC device, data acquisition devices, are always an integral part of that. Okay, so this is just for your information, not in your course. Now let us come to our point of discussions. That is the electrodynamic type of instruments. Okay. So as we have seen in the last module that why we consider the electrodynamic type of instrument as a transfer instrument, right? So these things I'm not going to discuss again, just for your information. A device or an instrument which can be calibrated with the help of a DC source, and then the same instrument can be used to measure the AC variables without modifying it or without any modification in the circuitry is called the transfer type of instrument, and electrodynamometer is one among those instruments. Okay. Now it gives you the very accurate reading as far as the AC measurement is concerned. Not as accurate as the PMMC device, but remember PMMC device is suitable for the DC, not for AC. And if you talk about the overall cost is quite high, but accuracy is better than the moving iron type of instrument, but both are the non-linear type of instruments. Okay. Okay. Then if you see, uh, just hold on. We have been already discussed this particular slide, the fixed coil and the moving coil. So remember, the modification as compared to the standard electrodynamometer is here you are going to use one fixed coil and you are going to use one moving coil. Unlike the standard electrodynamometer for voltage measurement purpose, where you have a two fixed coil of the equal magnitude and one moving coil to maintain the inertia, okay, from the both the sides. So construction of a standard voltmeter and the construction of standard wattmeter is little different. What the analogy we are going to use is that the fixed coil is going to use as a current coil and the moving coil is going to use as a potential coil or the pressure coil. Clear? Now if you see the construction, the construction are as follows. As in the in a previous slides, it has been mentioned that there are two different kind of arrangement. Now the arrangement is this. For example, as you can see in this particular slide, that you need a ammeter configuration and you need a voltmeter configuration to measure the instantaneous value of the current and the voltage so that you can get the power, right? So obviously in any circuit you have a at least one source and you have at least one load. Okay, it can be a resistive load, it can be any kind of load, okay, inductive load. So it is these diagrams are nothing but these are the simplified equivalent electrical circuit, okay, where we are assuming that overall equivalent source is E and overall equivalent load is L. Now let's say you have a one ammeter and one voltmeter. So what you will do, you are going to connect a ammeter and voltmeter configuration as shown in figure A, or you are going to fix the voltmeter and ammeter configuration as shown in figure B, right? Now theoretically, if you see in the figure A, total of current is I, which is flowing through the ammeter, okay, which is connected in series to the source, and then this I is shared in terms of the IB and IL. That means the current which is passing through the voltmeter and the current which is passing through the load. I am assuming in a theoretical condition it is equal, okay, is like that. Clear? Or in the other hand, the ammeter is connected through the load side and the voltmeter is connected across the source. Clear? Now, in that case, the total current, load current, I would say, the total load current is passing through the emitter configuration. Now, from your perception point of view, okay, consider the situation that if both the options are available, how you should connect the voltmeter and ammeter. Okay, this is a assignment question, first assignment question of module number 2. Note it down. Okay, so the two different mechanism to connect the voltmeter and ammeters are available. Whether the voltmeter should connect across the load, or the voltmeter should connect across the source. Which configuration is better and why? Right? Theoretically, both will measure the power. You know. Clear? Okay. So I will give you an answer at the little later section during the discussion of module number 2. But that is a question for you. Try to find out the answer and answer it in a simplified word with the least number of words and give the reason. Okay, fine. So now here I am assuming that you are able to measure the current and you are able to measure the voltage. So therefore you will be able to measure the power. If it is so, in that case, these are the configurations is mentioned. Okay, as I've been already told you, ammeter measures the current which flows into the voltmeter and the load. That is the figure number A. And the B, a voltmeter measures the voltage drop across the ammeter. Okay, in addition to the drop across the load. Okay, I hope that probably you will able to get your answer from these two statements. Try to find out your answer. So that is the configuration you have seen as far as the electrodynamic type of wattmeter is concerned. Okay, and I have been promised you at that time that I will discuss you in detail. Fine. Now, as far as this configuration is concerned, okay, we will come up with the theoretical aspects already. Now let's say the fixed coil current is IF as far as this standard nomenclature are concerned, and the amount of current which is passing through the moving coil, that is over which the pointer is connected, here is your IM. Okay, I is the total amount of load current which is passing through this particular load. Remember, that is the thing, and here this RV is connected across this particular load resistance. Okay, why we do so? Okay, so I have already given you the reason behind it. Okay. Go through the module number 1 if you have any doubt. So now therefore the total amount of deflection torque experienced by the meter is proportional to the amount of current which is passing through the fixed coil and the amount of current which is passing through the meter coil, that in other words the potential coil or the pressure coil. Yeah, so it will the product total torque is the product of TIF into IM. Now if I will remove that particular proportionality constant, IF is proportional to I because that is a fixed coil, so is used to measure the current lesser number of turns and connected in series to the load, whereas the IM is going to measure the voltage, because these things you can see from here. IM is measuring the voltage because it is connected across the load. Here, so amount of meter current will be proportional to the voltage across the load. So therefore, current passing through the load you are getting I, and the voltage across the load you are getting V. So the torque is proportional to V into I. In other words, the torque is proportional to the amount of generated power. In other words, you can say that the instantaneous value of the deflection torque is proportional to the instantaneous value of the power. That's how you can measure it. Okay. Now, considering the inertia of the moving system, pointer reads the average power, right? Why it will read the average power? Because it is a mechanical instrument and it always requires some inertia, and inertia cannot change very fast instantly as like with respect to the change in voltage or in an electrical parameter. That's why you are able to measure the average power. So in a DC circuit, the power is given by the product of V into I, okay, and hence the torque is proportional to it, right? So that is the average power you got. Now, say V is equal to Vm sine theta and I is equal to Im sine minus phi. The current is lagging. Clear? So in other words, the inductive type we have considered. Clear? System. Okay. Why inductive type, or why the potential has a influence over the inductance, inductive type, and how you can reduce it, that those things we will also discuss in little later in the module number 2 in the coming lectures, not today. But let's say that is a sum lagging value. So you can substitute the value v, substitute the value of I. If you will solve this trigonometry, what you will get is proportional to vi cos theta, right? Or in other words, the phi I will say. So therefore, the average torque you are getting vi cos phi or cos theta, whatever you are writing. Okay. So that is the true power. Okay. So that means the real value of power you are able to measure. Okay. What is the amount of power is consumed by the load, or primarily I am assuming the resistive type of load or the inductive type of load is able to, you are able to measure that particular real power. Okay. Now obviously the resistive load will consume more real power. Okay. And the inductive load will consume very less real power, but it will consume as compared to lesser than the resistive load. Yeah. Now, if to control mechanism, as you know that the spring, we use the spring control mechanism. So it is, let us assume control torque is proportional to theta 1. Okay. For the, to achieve the steady state condition of the pointer, both the torque should same. So therefore theta will be proportional to p. So that means the deflection experienced by the pointer is proportional to the variation in the true power in the circuit. Okay. And that's how the scale of the electrodynamometer wattmeter is very uniform. Okay, because theta is proportional to p. So the scale is very uniform, and that's how you will get more accurate result as compared to moving iron type of instruments. Yeah. So that is, I hope that this fundamental should be clear to you. And in the coming class, we are going to discuss about the Hall effect transducers, and then we will jump to the AC measurement, single phase and the multi-phase measurement using the 2 watt. I will tell you about 1 wattmeter method, 2 wattmeter method, 3 wattmeter method. Considering the neutral wire, without neutral wire, all these things we will discuss in the coming lectures. Okay. So with this, uh, here I have stopped the recording. If you have any other doubts, you can discuss with me. Any doubts? Okay, fine. So Arman, just try to connect lecture tomorrow. Okay, as per our schedule. And if you have no other doubts, you can disperse. And tomorrow again we are meeting for to continue our discussion. That is the lecture number 2 of module 2. Thank you.